Greetings, other humans from YouTube. It's Jonathan, also known as the PC Genie. Excuse me. I've had quite a bit of illness recently, which is why it's been a whole month since I've published my last video. But today, I shall be showing a little review of the, I think it's by, Windlass Steelcraft's Gurkha Regimental Kukri. Excuse me. So, this is something I actually ordered and waited either 2 or 3 years to get. I sort of ordered it at one point and then sort of forgot about it. And then there was a time when they said, well, this hasn't arrived in a while, do you want a refund? I said, nah, let's see if it comes in. Luckily it did, and it's arrived in the post. But yes, this is something that I think is not bad at all. I mean, I'm not an expert on a Gurkha and a Kukri, but I mean, I've played around with sharp blades before. I've got quite a few, and I've tried others as well, and I mean, this isn't something that is something absolutely epic and amazing, but it's still pretty good. Now, one of the things to bear in mind is you can buy this either already sharpened, which I've just looked on a night shop before making this video, and it is an extra £5 in British money to actually get it sharpened. But I've got it blunt myself, and I've gone and sharpened it using a sort of bench grinder and just with sort of fine grit sandpaper just to smooth out the burrs and keep a nice edge. That's not razor sharp, but very, quite sharp, but durably so. Because razor sharp's usually just going to, either dent in or have chips coming out of it, depending on the hardness of the steel. Now this is I tried to have a look at the description. It doesn't actually tell me what steel this is made from. It just says high carbon steel. In fact, I think it just says carbon steel. But I mean, it does seem to be a pretty good high carbon steel. And as I say, with regards to the edge, now once I sharpen it up, I mean, I've got a piece of cardboard from a new sort of blanket thing I bought today, and it's not, it's not like paper thin, and it's not thick card either, but I mean, as you can see, it cuts reasonably well. So yeah, I mean, I like the weight as well. I mean, it's got quite a bit of a forward bounce. Ooh, edge going into me a bit there. Actually, no, it's quite close to the handle, surprisingly. But yeah, it's still got a fair bit of heft in the chop, and it's got that sort of thing where it's a bit like a machete in the fact that it's got a bit of a heft and a broad blade, as you can see, forward type of weighting, a bit like an axe. But of course, it's got a sharp blade all along, somewhat like a standard sword or whatever. So in that aspect, it's one of the things that I like. It's the sort of thing where you could go around the jungle or a forest and be hacking brush down, but then if suddenly, oh no, a bad guy, hua, fighting time. And it's got the usual sort of I forgot what this part is called. We've got the little notch, which apparently someone on the internet said it's to do with blood, but I can't confirm that. I've never bled anybody before this. Don't intend to either. But I say it's quite a nice design. As you can see, it's got a sort of bit of fullering. I think that's more, by this point, I mean, it's not like on, your other swords and things where it's going to help with lightening and stiffening the blade. It doesn't really, there's no flex. I mean, ow, slapping myself with this, and you can see it's not wobbling or bending like you would see with a machete or a sword or something. It's a very thick blade, as you can see here. I mean, that is at least about an inch thick, and then it tapers down until you get the blade. But it is actually more gradual taper. I mean, although I've sharpened it up, it's pretty much just the same sort of angle as it had from the factory. So it is more of a gradual type of blade, which lends more to slicing actions rather than hacking like an axe. But as I say, it's still got enough heft to act as something similar to axe. One of the other things I really like about this is, as you can see here, it's got a full tang. Now, for those of you who don't know, a full tang it's a bit like you see on certain older kitchen knives, where the tang is in where the actual blade attaches to the handle is from the same material, and it goes right the way through the handle, and is also the same width of the handle. Whereas some swords and things have what's called a rat's tail tang, where it's sort of a thinner well, stick coming out of it, which then goes through the middle of the handle, and might be melted on or flattened on, or even sort of have sometimes a screw-on system where you might get a pommel or something, screw it on, and that fixes it. Whereas in this case, it's the actual same blade material itself is sandwiched between the two layers of wood in the handle. And you can see it's got two broad rivets on either side, top and bottom, which gives it a really secure grip. I mean, I've actually used this for hacking. In fact, I even went out in the back garden and I was using this to hack an actual bush. Obviously not a complete tree, but I did a fair bit of heavy hacking. I wasn't there going carefully. I was giving it full whack, as in to the point where I was tiring myself completely, you know, getting completely breathless and just wailing at it without much skill in the end. And because of the style, as you can hear, apart from the rubbing of my skin on there and slapping on the handle, there's no wobbles or any looseness at all. So this has taken abusing, and I've probably invalidated any warranty I've had by now, but it's completely sturdy. The only thing that's ever gotten worse with this is that, of course, it's just gained a bit of rust on it, which, you know, I can easily just polish off again, and that's more of a cosmetic thing. And you can see it's still got quite a sheen to it once I've repolished it again, and it wasn't much effort either. It's because unlike certain weapons with fullering and various nooks and crannies, or just generally difficult to work with, I find this, I don't know, it's because of the shape I guess, it's quite easy to polish up again. You only have to be a bit careful around the edge, but that goes without saying. You have to make sure not to have burrs and that sort of thing. So yeah, see, it's a pretty decent kukri, and I've checked on the website for the night shop where I originally bought it, and currently including tax, I'm seeing it now, it is £40.85. That'll translate in various wild ways on different days in American money or other money, so you'll probably want to check that online, but as I say, it's quite a good budget item. I mean, to get a decent sword, I recently got another, well, decent sword, I'll do that in another review, but that was about £180, whereas this, obviously it's a shorter blade, and it's something I've got for, well, about 45 quid, including the, 40 pounds that is, including the actual delivery. And just apart from that, as an added bonus, I mean, it's got its own scabbard, as you can pretty much expect, which has, it says buffalo leather covering on wood, and it's got a nice brass chape on the bottom, and it's got a bit here which attaches to a belt. Personally, I think you could, if in an interesting situation, you could attach this to a belt on its own, have a nice axe hanging from it if you want a bit of variety, keep this at home. But yeah, in here also two knives. Granted, I think they are not quite as good. I mean, they're quite bendy. They really, you know, you wouldn't sort of use them for Fiore's dagger plays and cha. But I mean, you know, the edge was basically completely dull. I've tried to sharpen it, just doesn't really take that well to sharpening, unlike the actual kukri itself. Probably because of how thin it is. There's not much material to work with into an edge to have it tapering in a triangular. It's just, you know, it's so thin already, you're almost at the tip part that you'd have already. But let's see, I mean, it's fine, it's a nice addition, and I mean, they're pretty much designed to be sort of things like eating knives, and to be honest, they're pretty fine for that. You'll notice a bit of, you might notice a bit of tarnishing, sorry about the light. That's actually because I've literally used this for sort of eating knife purposes. Now, in terms of things like the tang and whatnot, it's hard to say how this goes, because the way it sort of feels a bit, I wouldn't say sharp, but almost wedge-like at the towards the actual blade itself. It could be something like a full tang, but looking at it close, it looks like it's probably a standard rat tail tang. As I say, because it's not really used for fighting a lot. It's more just an eating knife. But, you know, you get two of them in the same sheath, and in an emergency you can throw them and then get your real weapon out. But yeah, see, I mean, not nice, not a bad addition. Two extra knives, and then with the kukri itself, all for less than 50 Great British pounds, which, take it from me, is not much for a decent blade. I mean, on something more sword-like, to get a decent blade, you'd probably need to pay about double that at least. And even then, you're sort of in the beta range. But yeah, I see, I mean, it's good. This is not massive reach, but that's what you'd expect for kukri. It's halfway between something like a machete and a knife, but that's what a kukri is. It's supposed to be like that. So let's see, I mean, I would personally actually recommend this. Maybe not waiting quite as long as I did, but hey, I mean, I suppose there are worse times to wait. Yeah, let's see, I mean, tell me what you think. Have you guys got any kukris? And yeah, maybe have a look onto the Gurkha Regimental Kukri on the Night Shop or other websites and see if maybe you want to buy it. As I say, it's by Windlass Steelcrafts, the manufacturer. Okay, and have a great day, guys. Enjoy yourselves.